There was a point in my Leverkusen save where I threatened to resign if Erling Haaland signed for Bayern. That never happened, but what if it did? What if we saw Haaland join Mbappe and Lewandowski, leading to me leaving the club? Would Bayern just dominate everything, or would Leverkusen still be able to compete and win the trophies we ended up winning? When the exit occurred, it involved 4 coaches leaving with me. Thomas Tuchel was the favorite for the job, but if we sim past this summer transfer window, Leverkusen's new manager would be Marcelo Gallardo. They spent over 100 million, with the most expensive being Thielmann, which is an odd signing to me. Hamantaroy seems like another short midfielder in the squad, which was a problem I was running into. There were some good depth signings, including Mujica, who ended up being one of the best new-gen strikers in the game by the time we played him in the Champions League final. With Gallardo's 4-1-3-2 system, Leverkusen did not start the season well. On Bayern's side, they only made 1 transfer after Haaland, and sold 2 good depth players, with Elmas and Luis Felipe going for 87 million combined. Simming to December 31st, the Bundesliga table is looking like my worst nightmare. Bayern are undefeated with 15 wins and 2 draws. Meanwhile, Leverkusen are still in the top 4, although with only 30 points, it seems like it's been a slight struggle. They have 2 players in the top 20 of goal scorers with Adeyemi and Thielmann, while Haaland is there with 10 goals, which is lower than I expected. Neither Mbappe or Lewandowski are in the top 20 scorers. Looking into that, Mbappe has been injured for nearly the entire season, only playing 4 matches. The Lewandowski situation is similar and different at the same time. He's barely played, but he's been healthy.
What are we doing?
It's interesting that they wouldn't try to fit both Lewandowski and Erling Haaland in, but they're doing well anyways. In Europe, Leverkusen dropped down to the Europa League, and they can't stay in form. Going to February 1st for the end of the winter transfer window, Leverkusen made some transfers, both ins and outs. On the outs, Cassano to Dortmund for 20.5 million, Mitchell Bakker to Barcelona for 17.5 million, and Florian Wirtz to Liverpool for 117 million, which is more than what we sold him for. Gallardo then made 3 signings, Linton Mina for 10 million and Ivan Hame for 33.5 million, who would both be squad players. The last one was Diogo Costa, who was Bayern's keeper in the save. I don't know why Bayern sold him to Leverkusen, but it's a good upgrade on their goals. Simming to the end of the season, did Bayern stay undefeated? First of all, Haaland only scored 18 Bundesliga goals, and for the 170 million he allegedly signed for, a bit of a flop, I would say, compared to his Dortmund days. Mbappe was on a mad one post-injury, scoring 13 goals and 9 assists in 21 appearances, and even better in all competitions. Lewandowski, on the other hand, barely played, and yet he's pretty happy at the club. Now, how much did Bayern win the league by? Actually, not as much as I thought. Leverkusen did well to bounce back, and if we compare that to our performance from that season, we did do slightly better in the league, although we were out of the other competitions quite early on. Diogo Costa had the most clean sheets in the league, although I would presume most of those were at Bayern. Alright, let's have a look at who won the DFB Pokal. Leverkusen made the DFB Pokal final and lost to Karlsruhe, a Bundesliga 2 side that finished in 10th. What about the Europa League? They lost to Sporting. Checking their players' stats from the league, Linus Gector played once. In the Champions League, Manchester City won it over Zebra, defeating Liverpool in the process. Meanwhile, Tottenham actually won a trophy. Let's now sim to the date where I ended the save with Leverkusen, but instead look at the success that they have with a different manager. They actually won the league, even with Mbappe and Haaland in the top 3 goal scorers. Oh, hey Banikim. Lungarzo, who we sold to Leipzig around the 6th or 7th season, actually stayed and had the 3rd most assists. Looking at his attributes, it makes me consider, what if he wasn't a short man who couldn't jump? Looking at the standings, 92 points is insane and actually breaks Bayern's record from 2013. No other side had more points in the save as well. Does that mean this is the best Bundesliga side ever? 9! In their top scorers list, you see Mujica, who barely played for Leverkusen and immediately became a great goal scorer for Hertha Berlin. He ended up scoring more than Thielmann, who didn't score that many goals in the time between that first season and the last season. Danny Olmo is still at the club and was Leverkusen's 2nd top goal scorer with 10. It kind of looks bad on me that Olmo actually did better without me. Like 15 goals in the 2nd last season? What? Another what for Leroy Sané being at Leverkusen. Adeyemi was at the club but moved to PSG in the winter. Then when I clicked on the club profile, I found out Rafa Benitez was the manager. Gallardo stayed for a little over 2 years, so let's see what his success was. His move to Barca seems justified though, as he ended up winning some silverware. Then when I clicked on Rafa's name, he apparently won the Champions League with Leverkusen. This guy can piss off. They defeated Liverpool in the final. Chelsea, Atletico Madrid and Bayern on the way there?
I prefer really not to not to speak.
They were semi-finalists the year after, and in the final season, they got smashed by Zebra 4-0 in the quarterfinal. He also won the DFB Pokal final in the same season as the Champions League? Does that mean Rafa did a better job than me? Look, I still won more DFB Pokals. You'll never see that! In all seriousness, a victory over Bayern in the DFB Pokal final must have felt great, although they lost the final the year after. So how many of my players stayed? Capsoba, Guardiola, Denilson Rodriguez, Guiri, who sadly barely played, Olmo, and Zabarni. There were several players I sold that stayed, like Lingarzo, Verissimo, Palacios, and Andre Fernandez. An odd thing I noticed was in the 2026-27 window, Gallardo spent almost 300 million in transfers, in which none of them are still here. Familiar players that left included Yusuf Demir to Atletico Madrid for 31 million, unlike my save where he went for free. Others included Frimpong, who struggled at Chelsea, Paulinho, who did well at Dortmund, Andre Gomes, who apparently is a world-class keeper at Newcastle. 50 goals conceded makes me not believe that. Danilo went to Sociedad, Burak Ince was actually sold to Utrecht, and he somehow found his way back to Leverkusen, and the exact same thing happened to Gekter. To the main man himself, Haaland scored less goals for Bayern in more matches compared to his Dortmund days, and while he performed exceptionally, he never ended up near the numbers he got at Dortmund. Mbappe never truly found his final form playing with Haaland, while all we have about Lewandowski is that he retired in 2029. Bayern still had success, and you could argue that that success was greater. They do have an extra Champions League title in their cabinet. However, was it really worth it buying Haaland? You could argue no, if it meant Lewandowski got benched. Finally, let's look at some signings we made at Leverkusen that didn't end up in this alternate universe. Banneken would become a class forward, scoring 31 goals and assisting 15 in all competitions. Stefan Karg became a decent goal scorer for Leipzig. Gerald Ruck ended up at Manchester City, being wasted at left midfield. Hatab never realized his true potential of being a left back at Monaco or Arsenal. Onana stayed at Ajax. Luka Netz went to Liverpool. Livramento never left St. Mary's. Ferragil became a dominant goal scorer at Manchester City. Villagra went and stayed at Torino, an interesting club. Finally, Ronaldo Pinzon re-signed for 1 million from Colombia, becoming an incredible midfielder. This story had him at Bayern Munich.